Welcome to Y Nada Más, a Real Madrid podcast.
And what is going on, everybody, and welcome to Y Nada Más, a Real Madrid podcast. I am your host, Eric Rivera, and I am here once again. The last podcast that we did was about 2 weeks ago, and then before that, we did another podcast that was video. We didn't do the video podcast, the one that was 2 weeks ago with my good friend Trombach. Technical issues. He's chiming in all the way from Calcutta, so there was a little bit of technical issues trying to get on there. So this is a video podcast by myself again. It's been about, like I said, it's been 2 weeks since the last one, so I decided to do this one. It's just that it's kind of funny to do a podcast essentially during the off season. And during the preseason with everything going on, essentially, of course, yes, there was games. We had the game against Rangers. We had the game against AC Milan. There's a bunch of stuff going on with Varane, and we already spoke about that stuff. But until the season starts, I think a lot of times is I kind of just take a back seat and kind of absorb everything. I'm pretty active on my Twitter, so you guys can check that out. But it really for now, my goal has been 100%. Trying to gear up, I guess, for this season, and that's what's going to be going on. So essentially, we just had our last preseason game, as of this podcast. I'm recording this on a Monday, August 9th. So essentially, we had our last preseason friendly against AC Milan, and we will be playing. The La Liga starts this weekend on Saturday, and essentially we will be facing Deportivo Alavés. So that will be our opening game. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of things going on, obviously, in the world of football. Of course, we can't gloss over or not talk about the elephant in the room, essentially. And the elephant in the room is not me, but the elephant in the room, essentially, which is the whole situation around Messi and what that means for Mbappé and all of this stuff that's going on, a lot of craziness going on there. So before we get started with the podcast, let me talk about a couple different things. You can follow me. Our social media handles are, of course, Y Nada Más Podcast. You can find it at Y Nada Más Podcast on Twitter. You can find me at Y Nada Más Podcast on Facebook. And when it comes to Instagram, you can find us at YNM Podcast on Instagram. In addition, you can check out our website, which is ynadamas.net. My good friend Trombach, who was a guest on our last show, is writing articles again for this season. He will be picking up the slack there. And I have also my good friend Carlos, who he's the one that heads up a lot of the graphic design stuff that you guys see going on there on our Instagram account, and sometimes that we share on Twitter. I do some stuff. He does some stuff. I do stuff that's more video related. And occasionally do some stuff when he's not around, graphics related. That's kind of both our little bit of our background and things like that. And he's been helping me with multiple podcasts through the years. But, the goal there is essentially, sharing some cool imagery and stuff like that, obviously on Instagram. So we started to pick it up there as well. We kind of do things via themes and all that kind of stuff. So we have this kind of retro theme going on. Anyway, that's going on at Y Nada Más Podcast. But in addition to that, I have Carlos working on right now. We're going to work on a thing we're calling on you guys that want to get essentially into the biz of writing. If you've already writing for a blog, check, you guys could feel free to hit us up at info@ynadamas.net. If you guys are already writing blogs for other publications, of course, we are a Real Madrid-centric publication. We are, of course, Madridistas. So you got to be talking, you got to be a fan of Madrid, or, at least not a hater. So if you want to take it from an analytical perspective, and, there can be constructive criticism, which I'm sure is something that, we're all open to, essentially. So you guys, if you're interested in that, please hit us up at info@ynadamas.net. I'm actually going to make something, like I said, Carlos is going to be making like a graphic that I'm going to be sharing across Twitter and across social media for anybody that's interested in possibly writing for us. We're trying to get maybe, I would say, 2 or 3 writers to jump on board along with Trombach, myself, Carlos, and then occasionally my editor, who's not here right now. That's the deal that we got going on there at Y Nada Más when it comes to everything that is social media. In addition, guys, If you didn't know already, I am helping out my good friend Dr. Jota and Jota Real Madrid. He has a YouTube channel called Jota Real Madrid where he does all the news, essentially everything that you could be thinking about of Real Madrid in Spanish. He also came out with a channel as well called Jota Champions, where him and another coworker of his are doing everything that comes to the everything that's related to news about the Champions League, and I am helping him with the English language version of Jota Real Madrid, which is called Real Madrid Hub. I've been doing essentially maybe 4 or 5 videos. We're basically doing 5-6 videos a day, news only. Essentially, it's quick tidbits, 3-4 minutes, 2-3 minutes of information that's hot off the press from Diario Marca, from Diario AS, from Diario Madridista, OK Diario, Mundo Deportivo, Sport, even, anywhere that they're saying something about Madrid, whether it's correct or incorrect, whatever, we are updating things there. So that's all the news really when it comes to social media, right? And everything that we're doing. So check us out there. Check us out, Real Madrid Hub. That's where I'm doing some stuff as well. Real Madrid Hub on YouTube. And of course, if you are listening to me right now, this is a video version of our podcast as well. So if you want to see the video version, you can always check us out at Y Nada Más podcast on YouTube, and you can find some our video versions of our podcast there. Occasionally, we will probably do audio only, especially if sometimes when Tromba comes in or somebody else, we can't connect to them via video. We'll try to do that and make it a audio only podcast, or I'll try to figure out a way where even if you can't see his face, essentially you can hear his voice or whatnot, and I will be on video. So that's the thing that I'm going to be working on right now as we go into the season. Really excited. Yes, there are, it's so crazy though. So let's get into the nitty gritty of things. It's so crazy to me. I mean, there is a lot of self-hating Madridistas. I don't know if, because we kind of go and talk about, there's a lot of people that kind of have this excuse that it's about us being, how would you say it in Spanish? In Spanish, them being a demanding fan base. Of course, Real Madrid, used to winning everything, used to winning all sorts of things, all sorts of titles, across the span of over 100-something years now that the club has been alive, right, or has been in business. So yes, we've been dominant in Europe. We've been dominant in La Liga. We've been doing very well, of course, across Europe and of course in La Liga. And then but unfortunately you hit, any team is going to hit eras where they are going to suffer, where they are going to struggle, where incredible players are leaving and then new players are going to come in and they have to pick up the slack from the players that left and essentially some of the legends that left. And it takes time to find those diamonds in the rough. I see a lot of comments, from Madridistas, looking at the Rangers game, looking at the AC Milan game, and it's all negative. A lot of it is negative. You can't find a positive thing to say out of, in anything of the game. You don't take into account, you don't look at the bigger picture of things. You don't take into account who's playing, who's on the pitch, whether they're healthy or not, whether they've been coming back from injuries. It's, these people aren't machines. These players aren't machines. They're absolutely 100%. They are professionals. This is their livelihood. They dedicate their lives and train hard to get to this level, and especially to be on a team like Real Madrid. They have to reach a certain level of football and of football IQ, of skills, whatever. They have to reach a certain level. That's true, but essentially, a lot of these guys are coming back from European football, are coming back from vacation, are coming back from having played Copa America. Some of them are still nursing injuries. Some of them, there's a lot of things going on for everyone to kind of like bash a team essentially, or bash certain players because they're not doing well or whatever. Or it doesn't look good because we got a draw. I don't know, whatever. But it's just, or the fact, that everything, the rumors that are going around essentially because, and yeah, I can understand being angry at the fact that we don't sign anybody. That is something that I'm bothered by too. Like, why are we not signing people when essentially, We have the money. We've had the money. We've been able to, thankfully, because of Florentino's leadership, as though I'm not his biggest fan sometimes, but because of his leadership in the business side of things, we have been able to save ourselves from being hit so hard from the pandemic and suffering you like our neighbors, like our rivals, Barcelona, who, unfortunately lost one of the greatest players to have ever touched the football, who happened to be a player for their team and made many Madridistas sweat, made many Madridistas have heart attacks, made many Madridistas cry themselves to sleep because he was absolutely an amazing player. And they lost him. They lost him due to mismanagement. Mismanagement is what you can talk about. It's mismanagement. It's a combination of things. I was listening to the Chiringuito the other day, and a lot of people are saying, things that I think are true. You can't blame Tebas, you can't blame Laporta, you can't blame Messi. Everyone, I think, in this situation when it comes to Messi has a little bit of fault for what is going on. But at the same time, players sign contracts, and then people are blaming players that didn't, reduce their salaries. And it's like, why would they reduce their salaries to save Messi at Barcelona when essentially, why did the club offer them that much money in the first place? A lot of these players are only signing their contracts that they were given, essentially the contracts that they were offered. So why are you going to hate on a player who didn't step aside for this other guy who's a great player, when really the problem there is the management running it completely wrong? Each player has every single right, I think, in my eyes, to be like, I am not going to, set aside my salary in order to let this other guy, to help the club sign this other player. Sure, I might do it to help the club and because he's my friend, and we might try to do things here and there to kind of, help out. But the problem is way bigger than that, because essentially all of them were offered these contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts that were way above what they could pay, and things got out of hand, and now they can't register Messi. And still, even with Messi gone, there is a huge situation with the masa salarial, essentially with the wages that they have to cover, and who knows how they're going to be able to cover it. And thankfully, we have somebody like Florentino that didn't allow Madrid to go through the same situation. Now, I'm not going to badmouth Barcelona or badmouth Messi, because even though I'm a Madrid fan and I want Barcelona to suffer and I want them to lose, my rivalry is in lo deportivo. Now, I will make jokes and I will make memes and I will share them, and they might be in bad taste for some people that are from Barca, but it's banter. And essentially, I have many friends that are Barcelona fans. And, we go back and forth, and, they dug into me for years when Messi was there and would score on us and would, essentially win a Clásico. I had to hear it. And, I would do the same to them. And right now, of course, seeing Messi leave, it's sad, but it's sad not only for the state of, for the fact that, well, not so much because he's leaving Barcelona, at least for me, because Barcelona, it's kind of like you made your bed and now you got to lay in it, so they're losing a player sort of out of their own issues internally there. But you got to feel bad for the player. I mean, if he really did want to stay, and that is his home. He's been there for 20 something odd years now, I guess, and or even more than that, since he's 13 years old. He's in his 30s now, so that's a lifetime. He's been there a lifetime. There can't be, you can't say that they were crocodile tears, and things like that. I mean, I think he was legitimately sad to leave the team, but it's a huge issue because it is going to, the era is, it's a sad thing for many Madridistas too, because, what would the Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7, BBC, Benzema and Bale era, with Cristiano and with, our midfield wall of players like Casemiro, Modric and Kroos, what would have that entire era have been if it wasn't, if we didn't have a team that essentially could still cause us problems and make us sweat like it was Barcelona in La Liga. They didn't have the same success that we did when it came to the Champions League, but it was always that there was a fire in that rivalry. Essentially, it made us excited. It still makes us excited, of course, to see un clásico, but it was exciting to try to get one over on Messi, get one over on a player that, for Madridistas, he was so hated. He was hated, not because, we hated him. I never personally hated the guy, but you hated him because you knew what he was capable of, So as a Madridista, you have to take both things, you have to, as much as I dislike them, I really dislike Barcelona with all my being, Sometimes I'm like, let them get relegated to Segunda División. But besides that, besides that rivalry, it was good to have a rivalry like that. Now, it could always happen with another team. Who knows what's going to happen with Barcelona? It's not like they're, they've got Memphis Depay. They've got other players there that can essentially cause headaches. It's not like they are 100% without, without any sort of football quality. But losing Messi obviously is a huge deal. But we'll see how they fare in La Liga. I think Atletico is definitely can make a case, especially bringing in Rodrygo de Paul and having Marcos Llorente and Luis Suarez and everybody that was played a part in last season's La Liga victory. This season is going to be a tough one. They brought in a quality player in Rodrygo de Paul, and they have quality players already. It's going to be very interesting how they're going to fare this year, and they are a tough team. If anything, I would say that right now, on paper, depending on who ends up at Real Madrid, they are the favorites to win the league again, unless Madrid puts a stop to them, or maybe even Sevilla puts a stop to them, because Sevilla did a good job last season, I think. They're inconsistent sometimes, but they are a quality team as well. And I think those are the teams really. I think it will be more of a fight this season, which is something that I am excited about, because it is going to be, I would say, a lot more on a level playing field, where you're really going to see that those 4 or 5 teams that are going to be fighting, like there's usually one team that is going to do much better this year than they usually do. There's always that one dark horse. So you're going to be looking at probably 5 teams in La Liga that are going to be fighting for that top position, with Atletico being the favorite, and I think Real Madrid being second favorite. And Barcelona and Real Madrid at this point can be fighting. Now, if we get Mbappé, then I would say that Real Madrid has a good chance to challenge for the title, because a lot of people say one man doesn't make a difference, but it's not that. We have a solid team at Real Madrid. Now, of course, we lost 2 very important defenders in Varane and Sergio Ramos, but I do think, I do feel that Militao is going to continue his great form. I do believe in Nacho. I do believe in Alaba. I do believe in Mendy when he gets healthy, and Carvajal when he gets healthy, and Lucas Vázquez if he can step in. In any case, if Carvajal is not healthy, I believe I really like. And we'll get into the AC Milan game in a second. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Bale, Benzema, of course. Our midfield is solid as always. I think there are other options there as well. So I think the issue that has been with Real Madrid is essentially goal scoring. And adding Bale, who looked really good in the AC Milan game, aside from a lost penalty, a missed penalty. But, aside from that, and he's not usually, I don't know if he's going to be the penalty taker, essentially. But aside from him, aside from that miss, he played, really looked like the Bale of old. And what we need is somebody that has firepower. And Bale has shown last season with Tottenham that he is able to score goals. Oh, how we would have wanted those 16 goals that he scored for Tottenham to have happened in La Liga, alongside a Karim Benzema that was firing on all cylinders. And essentially, besides that, Rodrygo, who I continue to be a big fan of, seems to be getting better and better and improving. And he's only 20 years old. I would say even more so than Vinicius. I don't have an agenda against Vinicius. I don't have a dislike for the guy, but I just feel like Vinicius, unless we turn the corner, we kind of saw in this game against AC Milan, it's more of the same, just dribbling and dribbling. I mean, he looked strong and made some good plays and made a pretty good decision here and there, but essentially it's more of that frustrating sort of, trying to dribble, but trying to dribble through all these players, not always successful, but at least he's trying it. But in the end, no finished product, which is the problem. It still remains to be seen what will happen if Eden Hazard comes back healthy. It still remains to be seen, what is going to happen with all of our guys, if they are healthy and we don't suffer the situation that we had last season. But, going back to everything that's going on, essentially it is going to be a strange new La Liga. And before I get into the AC Milan game, I kind of want to say something to all these people out there or I want to talk about these people out there that are just saying, La Liga has no value now because Messi is gone, and CR7 CR7 is gone, and Sergio Ramos is gone, and Varane is gone, and who is going to be the face of La Liga? Listen, guys, La Liga has been one of the top leagues in the world for years. It was a top league before Messi. It will be a top league after Messi. It was a top league before Cristiano Ronaldo. It will be a top league after Cristiano Ronaldo. Somebody will shine. Somebody will come up. These guys, let's be real. Messi is heading towards the end of his career. As great as he is, that's not insulting his talent whatsoever, but he's heading towards he's at the tail end, essentially, of his career. Maybe a few more years if he stays in shape and without injuries and things like that. Cristiano Ronaldo is also on his way out, and the next crop of players, which we've already seen, are showing us the likes of Haaland and Mbappé and Camavinga and maybe some other players there that will continue to show up. It will take some time. It will take some time to find them, but those diamonds in the rough are there. Those quality world-class players are there somewhere lurking, and they will pop up sooner or later, and it will happen. Whether it's in La Liga, whether it's in the Premier League, whether it's in Ligue 1, or wherever it happens, or La Bundesliga, it's going to happen. Real Madrid has had issues in the past. When La Quinta del Buitre was dominating La Liga, they had a terrible run in the Champions League. They did not win a European Cup. So you have to look at it. That's how the eras of Real Madrid were. Before CR7, before Cristiano Ronaldo, we had essentially the era of David Beckham and Zinedine Zidane and Roberto Carlos and Ronaldo and all of these players that played in the Galactico era. And before that, you had different players. You had a whole different team as well with Butragueño and Michel and and Hugo Sanchez. A lot of different players there that were playing and represented for Real Madrid. And then even before that, Gento, Di Stefano, all, so there were eras, and the eras will continue. What will the next era be? Who knows? But Real Madrid will continue to be a top team. Barcelona, as much as I don't want them to win, I think they will find their way out of this. Atletico is showcasing some good skills and good players. Sevilla is always an underdog and dominates when it comes to the Europa League, and they've had the chance to do that multiple times already. So let's not sleep on La Liga. It's not like La Liga has, it's because everyone and all these young kids, and many of you are young kids that are listening, many of you only know the Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi era of La Liga. And that's fine. But there was a La Liga before that, which people watched, and it will continue to happen. Before La Serie A was an amazing place of talent, full of talented players, whether it was Wesley Sneijder, Rui Costa, Paolo Maldini. I mean, the names go on and on. Alessandro Del Piero, of course, Ronaldinho, Andrea Pirlo, Geez, I mean, the names go on and on. Ruud Gullit. Just think about all those names, of course. And they were in the Serie A, and they were in a Serie A when it was in its heyday. And Serie A is falling on somewhat rough times, but it's still a great league to watch. Bundesliga, still a great league to watch. There's nothing that I dislike more than this whole term about farmers' leagues. Essentially, right now I would say my argument would say I think the Farmers League is essentially, PSG dominating and running away with a league that really there is no other team that is going to have competition if they do get Messi, to have the likes of Messi, Neymar, possibly Mbappé, Di Maria, Verratti, all of these players on the team. Who is going to challenge that team for a title? It's going to be impossible. The only teams that are going to be able to stack up against them are going to be in the Champions League. And I still think there will be teams that could possibly beat that team, regardless of what people think that they're going to have this mega squad. It doesn't matter. Sometimes those mega squads don't work out. We've seen it happen, where you have all these egos. You have Sergio Ramos, you have Neymar, you have Messi, some of these guys that didn't even get along before, essentially, Verratti, Di Maria. You have all these guys, and you're going to tell me they're all just going to click? You don't know that. We don't know that. So, that's my thing to the people that are disrespecting La Liga and kind of want to say, oh, it's all over, it's all over, it's all over. It's not doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom with Real Madrid. If we don't bring in Mbappé, we can possibly get him on a free because he's continuing to say no to renewing. Sheikh, Al-Khelaifi and, his whole, and the family, the Qatari family surrounding PSG, they could be sending tweets and doing all they want. But if he doesn't renew and he ends up leaving on a free and he wants to go to Madrid, he will go to Madrid. They can't keep him there forever against his will, essentially. So, whether he comes this summer, or he leaves in a free in a year, and then we can possibly get Haaland, and we can possibly get Camavinga, and we can possibly get some other players there. It'll happen. There will be another era of Real Madrid. But I have a feeling, and I'm confident, I have a feeling, not because of my sources or anything, but everything because I'm hearing and I'm reporting and everything from Diario AS and all these things. It's going to be very tough for PSG to keep Kylian Mbappé. And especially if Real Madrid comes calling, if they get Messi, and Real Madrid comes calling and it wants to offer them money for Mbappé, and they have other quality players, many other quality players, essentially, and there's already a player that wants his way out, then we do have a chance. And I feel like it's all dependent on what's going to happen with Messi, essentially. And I think there is a good chance that we're going to get him this summer. And if we do get him, I want to see what all these naysayers and self-hating Madridistas will have to say. Will they change their tune immediately and be like, oh, now we have a team that can really do something? I'm with the team. I'm with the team whatever happens. Against AC Milan, I saw some good I saw some good offensive football, some good direct football that we haven't seen in quite some time. Yes, the issues are still the same. It's lacking in goals, but we're missing Karim Benzema. We're missing at this time Toni Kroos. We're missing Carvajal. We're missing Mendy. Not that those guys are going to score, but essentially, the team to being locked, its core being available and ready. And them being, not only that, but them being 100% fit to play. The Brazilians such as Casemiro, Militao, and Vinicius just arrived from vacation. Gareth Bale is coming back. He's coming back and he's starting to look good, and he's trying to get, I guess, readjusted with a team that, let's be real, fans don't like him, but I think he's going to cause a stir. He looked so good, so solid, like the Bale of old, like he really is going to make good on that promise, on the promise of, being part of this Madrid team, essentially being part of showcasing the best version of himself, as he said that he was going to do. I really think he's going to be able to do it. And he looked great. He looked great. He won the penalty. He missed the penalty, but he did the work to win it. And actually, a good play by Luka Jovic to get that that breakaway run for Bale. That through pass that he gave to Bale to get that penalty. Essentially, there are little flashes here and there. Will Luka Jovic show up? Who knows? I do like how he looks when he plays. Essentially, plays almost as a second striker, where he's trying to set up the wingers that are flying into the box, more so than being the guy that is going to score the goals. But essentially, it remains to be seen what's going to happen with Luka Jovic, but I prefer him 100% over Mariano. I don't like Mariano's attitude of not wanting to leave when he knows he's not going to get minutes, but it is what it is. It's not entirely his fault. It's also the fault that we brought him back and we gave him a contract when he wasn't a player that could live up to the expectations. So, there's a lot of different things there. I want to see how Eden Hazard is going to come back. I want to see him play and see how he will fare this year. Will this be his season? Will this be the season where he remains fit? And once he's fit, if that guy can be fit 4, 5, 6 different games in a row and gain confidence, I do feel that we will see the Eden Hazard that we all want to see. However, it's going to be tough because he's got to stay healthy, and that is a big issue, right? With Gareth Bale, yes, he's got to stay healthy, but at the same time, he's got to stay motivated. His attitude has to be there. But if he plays the way he played the other day, welcome back, Gareth Bale. And I would say Madridistas will change their tune. And I don't like, Bale's attitude. I didn't like his attitude with what he was when he was at Real Madrid and essentially sitting on the bench and laughing when we were losing and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't a one-sided thing. It was happening essentially because he had fallen out of favor with Zidane. And, if you're a player of Bale's caliber, I think you'd be pissed too, So he just made it known. And yes, he was, I guess, disrespectful to many Madridistas and, the whole whale Golf Madrid thing. But I say it once again, like I've said on this podcast, if Gareth Bale scores goals for Real Madrid, and in addition to the goals that we can get from Karim Benzema and from the other players on our team, if Gareth Bale can be another source of goals for our team and he scores for us, then I guarantee you Madridistas will change their tune very quickly. So we're going to see what's going to happen. Maybe it's because I'm excited that the season is finally going to start again. Maybe it's because I've never been one that is always going to crap on the team, that is going to say, this guy sucks and that guy sucks. We're not going to win anything. We're terrible. All this kind of crap that it's just like, dude, why are you even a fan of the team then? If you're just going to cry all day and be depressed about it, I get depressed when we lose, but life goes on, life goes on and you live to fight another day. You get up again, you dust yourself off, and the team goes out and does it again. And the team needs the support of Madridistas, of their fans that'll say, a la Madrid, y nada más, whenever and wherever, even if the team is not performing to the best of their abilities. But of course, and it's not going to be long lived. I mean, if they've been terrible and it's taking a long time, and let's see, the coach Ancelotti in this case continues to put out a player that is obviously not performing, then it makes total sense to be, angry at Ancelotti, angry at that player because he's been given a lot of chances and he's not shining. Kind of the Asensio deal, the Asensio situation. He just hasn't looked good. Isco actually looked better against AC Milan than he has, but we get these sort of spurts from these two guys of talent and showcasing the skills that they have, but it's not consistent, and you need consistency. That's the one thing that we need, that you get from Kroos, that you get from Casemiro, that you get from Luka Modric, that you used to get from Sergio Ramos. It is that consistency that we're lacking. But those guys are still there. Though our midfield is consistent. Karim Benzema, I have no doubts that the man will be consistent this season. We'll see what happens with Gareth Bale. We'll see what happens with Eden Hazard. I think Militao and Nacho and I think Alaba is going to be a great addition. He already showed his class in against AC Milan. A very smart player, good, good moving forward, defending, but also being on the attack. Had a great shot on goal that almost beat Mañan to score the goal against AC Milan. It could have happened. Luka Modric still looking, like he's just like he's getting younger and not getting any older. It's fantastic. I mean, there are things that we can take away from this preseason. You have a preseason where essentially against Rangers, we were playing against a team that is already was already getting geared up to start their season. This was our first preseason game against an actual higher level team, not a team from Spain that had just gone to like Rayo Vallecano that just came from Segunda División to La Liga, and a team like Fuenlabrada that isn't in Primera División. So you had those two sort of small preseason games, and then in the two big preseasons game against the Rangers, that people can talk crap about what they want about the Scottish Premier League, but they're doing big things in that team. And they were ready to go. They were ready to fire against a Madrid team that was full of youngsters and missing a lot of important players. So, and people just want to, make all sorts of, extrapolate all sorts of negative doom and gloom machinations, doom and gloom scenarios because we lost that game against Rangers. And then the game against AC Milan, I think in the first half was a fantastic first half. We could have scored. We could have been up if it weren't for, Mañan making some good saves and essentially Bale missing the penalty, Mañan stopping that penalty. We could have been up on the score line. It was a fantastic first half where we dominated. Then we dominated the entire, I would say, first 15, 20 minutes or so of the second half, and then we just put in all of our youngsters, and that's gonna drop the quality of the game, and then the rest of the game was really not good at all. But it's going to break up the chemistry, and really Ancelotti was trying different things to see who he could rely on. So I don't take away anything from that game other than I saw some really good flashes of quality from the players that we need to show quality. Of course, the Luka Modric, the Casemiro, the Gareth Bale, Rodrygo looking good, Jovic looking a little bit better, Isco looking a little bit better. Not to say that they were great, but some improvement there. But Gareth Bale definitely the guy that stole the show. I think he was everybody's favorite player for that game, everybody's man of the match for that game. Aside from that, like I said, spurts of Rodrygo, of David Alaba had a great showing, and Modric had a great showing. So we will see how it all plays out when we face Deportivo Alavés. When we face Deportivo Alavés this weekend, we will see how it all plays out. But I am excited. I am excited for this game. I think we are going to be and showcase. I think we're going to walk away with the 3 points against Alavés. Not to say, Alavés is a walkover team, but is a team that we should be able to beat. It was a team that made life difficult because they do defend and go for, that whole idea of, the low block. They try to essentially sit back and wait for counters and things like that. But I do feel like we can beat them. Like I said, if Gareth Bale plays, if Rodrygo plays, if our midfield does what they have to do, if Militao is playing well, I mean, we are going to be missing some important pieces in that game. But I still think we can walk away to the 3 points if, we play that same type of attacking football that we demonstrated against AC Milan. I think that we can beat a Deportivo Alavés. If we show this with the same players that we had, if we showcase that type of attacking football against a team like Deportivo Alavés, we can win the game. You know, will it be easy? No. Deportivo Alaves, all these teams always show up when it comes time to play Real Madrid. They don't sit back and just take it, So it's going to be an interesting game for sure. And then aside from that, guys, I mean, I think it's time for many Madridistas, at least let's at least yes, I know there are things that haven't panned out. Who knows if by the end of the season, by the end of the summer transfer window, we get Kylian Mbappé and all of us will be, screaming to high heavens and just, extremely happy that we brought him to the team and seeing what he could possibly do for us. But if he doesn't come, then you still got to throw your support behind this team. Will it be painful? Sure. Do I think we're going to win everything? No. Is there always a chance? Sure. But it will be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see, and I will throw my support 100% behind the team. I think in what we're seeing right now is a long game by Florentino. It's whether, if we don't get Mbappé now, we're going to get him next summer. If we don't get Haaland now, we're going to get him next summer. We have to see how things are going to play out. If COVID, essentially, as COVID draws down, and hopefully it continues to draw down for the sake of everyone, for the sake of everyone's health, for the sake of, obviously, the economy of many different countries, wherever you are, we want it to go away, essentially, because it's claimed a lot of lives and made a lot of people's lives a lot sadder in the past year and a half or so. But if it ends and we see more, if it begins to end and we start seeing more fans go into the stadiums, the Santiago Bernabeu, the renewed Santiago Bernabeu open, all of those things are going to start drawing in, getting revenue for this team, getting revenue and giving money to Florentino and essentially getting us out of this pandemic position. And hopefully, even in the winter transfer window, we start seeing movements. I still believe we will get Mbappé. I still believe we will get Mbappé because it all relies on Messi going to PSG, and it looks like right now that's what's happening. As of right now, though, there's all these reports, of course, that there's like some sort of last-minute deal going on, but I don't know how reliable any of that is because at this point, why would you even have a press conference if you were just going to make a U-turn at the last minute? Weird, but that whole club has been weird lately. So essentially, if he goes to PSG, I think they will be able to make a move. If Messi goes to PSG, I think we will be able to make a move for Mbappé, and he is getting closer and closer. The reports are that Haaland is going to wait. Of course, Dortmund is not going to let him go, and Haaland wants to be at Real Madrid. His agent wants him to be at Real Madrid. Mino Raiola wants a player to go to Real Madrid, one of his players to be at Real Madrid. So, his father came to the installations. So we know that there is a desire by Haaland, by Mbappé, two of the world's best players, best young players at the moment, are interested in playing in Real Madrid. But we as Madridistas have to be patient. Now, am I being too optimistic? You might say so. I may be the eternal optimist of Madridista podcasts, I think. It frustrates me. It's not like I don't get frustrated, guys. But the point is, what would a podcast be if I come on here and the entire time I'm shitting on Madrid? Would that be y nada más a Real Madrid podcast? What kind of Madridismo would that be? Do I disagree with things that are happening with Madrid? Do I disagree with letting Varane go? Do I disagree with letting Sergio Ramos go? Sure, but if Varane wanted to leave, it happened. If Sergio Ramos didn't want to renew and then, honestly, I feel like that whole last minute sort of like the thing is the deal is no longer on the table. And at the last minute, I decided to renew, all that kind of stuff. Like, why would you wait until the last minute? We've talked about this, but why would he wait for the last minute to sign? Like, I think he was already on his way out. Varane was already on his way out. There was nothing we could do, essentially. There wasn't too much we could do to stop that. And we needed the money, essentially, for Mbappé, right? So if it works out, Florentino looks like a genius. If it works out, Florentino looks like a genius. But if it doesn't work out, then obviously people are going to start asking questions. I think really if we don't get him, it will be a failure in the sense that we spent so much time going after Mbappé, we could have got somebody else, at least for the time being, to sort of, maybe another defender or another somebody else that was on the market that could have been good to bring to Madrid. There are still rumors, hey, that if we don't get Mbappé, or we feel like we're not going to get Mbappé, they still might try to go after Haaland, even though Borussia Dortmund has said they don't want to sell him. But that is still a plan B. Allegedly, I guess. That's what's being reported. That's come out from essentially from Bernabeu Digital and many different reporters, of course, saying different things about whether or not he's really, whether if Mbappé doesn't come, would Haaland be the next option? But I think right now what it is, and what I want to leave you guys with, is essentially that we have to have patience. We have to have patience. I think it's kind of like the memes and the things of Florentino's show. Him fixing his glasses, and I didn't have my glasses on today to do the thing. Him fixing his glasses and smiling. Him on his phone and his mobile phone talking to Mbappé during the AC Milan game. Or essentially, the tranquilo. Be calm, guys. Be calm. I think the man is a good businessman. Is he sort of snaky and, kind of a guy that, he's a businessman. He's a multimillionaire. Those guys get money. It's not like, it's not that I'm not saying that anything is corrupt or I don't know, for sure. I'm not going to throw allegations out there like that. But, millionaires got to make tough decisions, sometimes painful decisions, in order to get the money, in order to get to where they are in business. Painful decisions, sometimes cutthroat decisions, sometimes decisions that we here in the working class would most likely would frown upon and sort of shake our collective fists at. But when it comes to protecting our team and protecting Real Madrid and doing what he feels might be best in the long run, and what I'm seeing is he's sort of playing this long game, which we've already seen is reaping rewards because Real Madrid is one of the few teams that has been able to get out of this situation in the pandemic, not unscathed, but in a much better position than many, many other clubs around the world, then he is doing something correct, guys. Would we want to be in the situation that Barcelona is in? And not to keep crapping on Barcelona, but would we like to be in that situation? No. If you are a Barcelona fan, and I have friends that are fans of Barcelona, it's got to be rough, man. I can imagine if I put myself in their shoes, as much as I don't like the team and as much as I don't want them to win, but if I put myself in the shoes of Barcelona fans, I think I would be really, really sad and really, really pissed at the whole situation that's going on and worried about whether or not our team is going to fall apart. Obviously, as a Madridista, I do that, I chuckle a little bit, smile, feel sad, but then smile, feel sad, but then smile, kind of remind myself, sad for the world of football, sad for La Ligas, I wanted to see Messi. I don't want him to go to PSG, that kind of thing. Would like to see Clásicos with him involved, of course. Sad about that. But then a smile comes to my face because I remember the face of Jota Jordi and Carme Barceló and all these people on El Chiringuito, and then the face of my friends that are Barcelonistas or culés, basically, and then I smile. I smile because sometimes, other people's misfortune makes you chuckle a little bit. Not terrible misfortune. Let's not go there, of course, but small misfortunes. And especially when it's of their own doing. So, that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, so, but going back to the point is it would have been a terrible situation. And what Florentino has been doing has essentially been, I think in the end, for us to avoid those type of situations. That is why we're doing that. That is why he's doing that. That is why there's been a delay in getting new players and everything like that. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's my my rant for today. My podcast for this week. And then now, finally, we are going to be moving into the opening day podcast. The podcast, essentially, next weekend, we will be talking finally about La Liga kicking off. And hopefully, I will be able to play the sound effects that'll be like, when we win, like this.
Vamos, Madrid!
Or like this.
A la Madrid!
Hopefully I could say those. And I won't have to be saying this one.
Hostia!
Because that's the one that comes out every single time we didn't do good. We'll be celebrating like this with everybody, and people, hopefully, soon the stadiums will sound like this again, and we'll all be happy, right? So, with that said, guys, we're coming to the end of the podcast. I thank you guys all for listening. So remember that you can essentially listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, and also you can find us on TuneIn, Stitcher. There's a couple of different ones that you can find us on there. And then besides that, remember social media. Check us out on social media at inadamas.net is our website. Find us on Inadamas at Inadamas Podcast on Facebook, at Inadamas Podcast on Twitter, and at YNM Podcast on Instagram. So if you're watching the video version of the podcast right now, you will see that at the bottom of the screen in the ticker. And, that is where you can find all that information. Once again, we are looking for writers, 2 to 3 writers for this season and potentially going forward, of course, to help out my good friend Trombach and myself and the team here at Inadamas. We would like to hear from you guys if you are interested in jumping on board and doing things, analytical analysis of the game, stats, whatever you like to do. We'll talk and we'll figure out something. But as the season gets started, I would love for you guys to jump on board. So please do. Hit us up at info@inadamas.net for all that. I am your host, Eric Rivera, for this edition of the Inadamas podcast. Thank you guys for all your support. Please, if you are listening to us via Apple Podcasts, please go on the Apple Podcast app and hit review and give us a good review. Essentially, give us 5 stars, 4 stars, or whatever you think we deserve. And then write us a comment, because that helps us rise up in the ranks of podcasts that are related to sports, that are related to Real Madrid, whatever it may be, but it helps us rise up the ranks and get more people listening to the show. Can't wait until next week's podcast, guys. I'm really, really excited. So I thank you very much for listening. I thank you very much for being a part of this podcast. And that's about it, guys.